Hi everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk with Tiff. I'm Tiffany, and I want to thank you for joining me for another episode. I do want to remind you guys to please like and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate all of your support. So let's jump into the topic today. Well, guys, I want to talk about and teach you all, or at least bring awareness, hopefully that's the goal here. How does the unconscious operate within your mind? That's the topic. It's a very big one too. If we're going to learn how the unconscious operates within your mind, first of all, I feel it's important that we address together. To start with, we don't know a lot about the mind in general, okay? We don't know a lot about the mind. We know that the mind is there to, they say, protect you. That's where the unconscious operates. They say the subconscious operates from the mind as well. Where is the mind? Does anyone know? No, we really don't. We kind of believe it to be in here somewhere because that's kind of what it feels like, right? If you think about where you think about things, you're kind of feeling it in this central area. We also know our brain is here. So we know the mind and the brain, they are connected, okay? I like to think of it like this. The mind is the software and the brain is the hardware. So that's where you're gonna see the mind's operation lights up in the brain. We know there are regions in the brain where it takes place. However, I look at the mind as the real brain. In order to learn how the unconscious operates, I do think it's important that we address that we don't really know that much about it, but I can tell you from the stuff that I've learned from God directly, the mind is spiritual, okay? And so hold on to that. Now, because the mind is spiritual, we have to discuss the energy function of the mind, okay? Because there is one. And energy function inside of the mind, there are a few characteristics that I want to highlight. And the first one is that it is extremely intelligent. The mind, its operation is highly intelligent. So you must know that. How it works, and I'm not talking about our ability to learn. Yes, that's what it's there for. But I'm talking about the parts of the mind that work unconsciously. It's extremely intelligent because the unconscious has access there, okay? Now, it also operates from a place of being silent. So its movement across the mind and how it operates and gets planted, it's so quiet, it's silent. It moves very subtly, okay? So without awareness, especially awareness of self, you really don't even know when it's working. We don't know. It's quiet, right? Silent and quiet. It's so quiet that it blends very well. And this goes back to its intelligence. So it's so quiet, it blends. And what do I mean by that? Well, it blends right into you, okay? So the unconscious is working separate from you. And then there's you. And because it is highly intelligent, it's silent in its movement across the mind and very subtle. It's quiet to the point of blending in with you. It is like sounding like you. You can identify with it. And without space from within, we really have no way to understand it, to witness it. We need space. And finally, it is disguised. Okay, so this leads to how it blends. Because it is disguised and we can't really distinguish it, it takes help from God, from spirit, okay? From within to be able to distinguish this function, this energy function. Okay, this is at the baseline of it. So it works in a very disguised form, and it blends in quite well because it is so intelligent. People, humans, we really don't have the awareness around it. It all blends together. So knowing this energy function, I want to get in a little bit deeper now into self-awareness. We must have self-awareness in order to be able to even stand a chance at distinguishing this thing, okay, and its operation from within our mind. And self-awareness is critical. So take that in for a minute. Self-awareness is critical to witnessing its function. Now we need to talk about self-awareness because, see, self-awareness comes from God. It comes from Creator. Humans, and I've mentioned this on past episodes, humans cannot think their way into self-awareness. And maybe you've seen this before or heard it. A lot of coaching in this field of self-improvement, they will teach this, right? Coaching to help people navigate their life, bettering themselves. They will teach you this technique. It's like a method, okay, of observing your thoughts, right? And then you change the thought so you can have a different outcome. Don't do that. Because this type of method that is taught by many coaches, I've seen it. This is only helping you on the surface. So you are actually going into the mind with the mind. You go into the mind operation to run a method on the mind. That's short-lived, people. Don't do that because it's on the surface level. That is not something that is sustainable. And when I say sustainable, I'm talking about something that is going to give you development and growth and change from deep inside of you. Okay? You don't want to make changes on a surface level. That's not smart. That's not something you want to do. And so this is why I tell you that self-awareness comes from God. So if you tell somebody, for example, something about them, maybe you want to give them feedback, and it's this self in the mind, it doesn't like any feedback. In fact, it doesn't want to hear any sort of critique. It doesn't like that. And so it will also block you because inside of the mind, there is a veil that will block you from seeing you, yourself, your behavior, what you say, what you speak, your attitude, how you treat people. There is a veil. It covers you. And in order to see the self, right, this self that's operating outwardly toward others and even within, because it operates on you too. We need God for this process in order to see ourselves. We can't think our way, right? Or necessarily even feel our way into self-awareness. It doesn't work that way. We have to go to the Spirit, to God, for this to take place. And so now we know that self-awareness is critical to witnessing this function, and that in order to have self-awareness, you must return back to God, Creator, and invite Him into the process of being able to witness you, okay, and how this is operating in you. And so we cannot use the mind to witness its behavior, okay? Essentially, the default, it's going to operate from within you. And so this leads me to helping you guys understand that, because we are human and we have a mind, and this is the creation, right? We have a natural default in us, and it's called the mind. That's where we go. We think, we feel, we can process emotions there if we're not careful. This is something that happens in humans on autopilot. And most of us, which will get us into a lot of suffering, by the way, a lot of suffering and a lot of separation from God. And I'm going to get into that. However, but if you run on this default that operates within you with no space happening, right? This is where you will land yourself into this suffering place, which will cause you to become separated from God, and you run on autopilot. So you really start to have no awareness of what you say, what you speak, what you do, your actions, your behavior. You are just running, okay, on autopilot. And so in order to witness this function inside of you, in your mind, it must come from God. Okay, so we need God in order to create change. We need God in order to be developed, which I've talked about. And so understanding this now, I'm going to get into the most common mind defense mechanisms. Okay, I'm going to go with the top 5 that are used, and I know we're all familiar with them. So that leads me to these are the defaults of the mind. And so really take this in right now, okay? If you do not actively work to have a relationship with your creator so you can actually live and function from a place of self-awareness, okay, you have to actively put effort here. This requires work. The default inside of you is in the mind, and it's coming from the unconscious. Did you follow everything I just said? And so this is what happens to people, and you run on this, on autopilot. And usually it leads you to suffering, which then leads you to separation energy from God. Okay? So these are some of your most common that I believe we will all be familiar with. Number 1, repression. But I want to talk about repression in 3 levels here, because we don't just straight go to repression. There's avoidance that can happen first. And this avoidance, if you engage in this behavior, avoidance can have you graduate to suppression. Okay, and when you engage in suppression, you can easily graduate into repression. Okay, so these things they work kind of together. People, as humans, we don't want to feel necessarily something hard, something difficult, something bad, something that hurts, really. So this is how the mind will work to operate. It can start in avoidance, graduate to suppression, eventually leading to repression. It's so far down, we don't have awareness of it. However, don't worry, because God keeps all the records. He has awareness of it. So if you ever do choose to go back and do the work with God, don't be surprised if you go back and revisit these areas that have been in avoidance, suppression, and repression. He knows. And most of the time, God is going to take you back, because we have to deal with it all, people. This is the truth. Otherwise, whatever is not faced and brought to the light, the unconscious could go back and take control and hold power right there over you. So all things with God will eventually be addressed and taken to the light in His time. So the most common defense mechanisms now, number 1, repression, but keep those others in mind with repression. The next one is denial, you guys. We've seen this. I've done it. You've done it. We've all done it. And denial keeps us trapped. This is one of the biggest, okay? And when you're in denial, this is part of the veil that I'm talking about, that the unconscious will put right over you in your mind. So you can't see yourself. You can't hear yourself. You don't take accountability, responsibility for what needs to be addressed. So it will keep you in denial in order to hold you right where it wants you. And if it holds you, it has power over you. Okay, so denial. Projection. This is another one. We see this in relationships everywhere, whether you're in a work environment, friendships, family. People can take unacceptable, unwanted thoughts and feelings that are coming from the self, right? The self, and they will project them onto someone else because, well, it couldn't be them, right? It won't. If you actually face the truth of yourself, well, then there's no projection to be had, okay? So it will use projection. Another one is displacement, and that's redirecting our emotions towards our less threatening target, where it might feel safer. Safer is an illusion. That's not even real with the mind. So it will just take your emotions and just redirect them on its next target, its next victim. It will find one, and it's very good at it. And it will displace what it has within you because you're the host, and it will put them onto its next target. And finally is regression. And I've actually kind of talked about this recently. We can regress to old versions of ourself, right? When we're triggered. Now, self-regression through mind is dangerous because a lot of the time we can regress to these places within ourself in our mind, and many of us can get stuck there, and we stay there for a while. We go back further. We operate from this place of regression, right? Because these old ways and behaviors in ourself that we go to in the mind, well, they serve a purpose to protect us, right? No, to protect itself. It wants to protect itself in order to remain in control over you. You are the host of all of these mechanisms, this default that runs through you. Okay, so regression, if we go into those areas in self-induced regression through mind, it can be very dangerous because we can end up living there and operating from old versions of ourselves when we feel triggered out in life, because every day life is coming for us. It's happening. Keep those defaults in mind. And they are very common. We know them. We see them. They happen all the time. And finally, now I want to get into like forms of default based on our personal circumstances. And this may look different in everyone, but I'm going to go over a few that I've seen with the work that I've done, with the ones that God sends me, and He has me sometimes work with people, and things that I've been able to observe. So let's talk about for a minute how the mind will work to justify whatever is happening, okay? Your circumstance, your situation, what you said, what you did. It's gonna work to justify in order to keep you. And what I mean by keep you is that it has to have a hold on you. That's one of the things that it will do. It will justify to keep you, to keep hold over you. And it will also rationalize to negotiate its position. It loves to take a position. So be careful, pay attention to this one. When you have something going on in your life and you have a position in it, right? You're taking a stance. Be very careful with that, because the moment you take a position, it knows you care. And if it knows you care, what did I tell you guys about love? Wherever there's love, you have heart. Where there's care, you have heart. It knows. So where you hold position to justify your position for it to hold on you, keep hold, and then rationalize to negotiate that position, it easily creates an opening for it to get in and control you. Now, another one I've seen is that it will do judgment of self. So not only does it work inside of you to create behaviors and attitude and have you say things and do things and feel things, and without space even, because this is happening so fast that you will engage in any of these things, right? In these behaviors, what you say, what you speak, what you do. And then after you do it, then comes in the self-judgment possibly, for what you said, right? So it'll play both sides because it'll justify its way and it's whatever it did. And then it could easily judge the self as well for whatever it said and what it did, which once you get into judgment of the self, this opens the door to the insecurity, right? So this is the hole it digs inside of you. And how dangerous it can be when it plays both sides, because not only will it justify to hold its position over you, right? And control, but then for all the reasons that it helps you to justify, right? And rationalize, it's now going to give you judgment over what you just did. And so this is how it will play both sides. And and without space, you'll never know it. You are the target now, right? You're the target, and it's a vicious cycle that runs from within, inside the mind. It's also going to compete to stay relevant, right? It competes to stay relevant and find its security from inside the mind. So pay attention to this competitive nature. You know where it's coming from. And the last one I've seen is emotional dumping, okay? This is a big one, you guys, because emotional dumping, I like to call, if you keep talking about something, if it can keep you talking about something that is occurring in your life, what it's causing, the mind. Well, what you're doing is you're feeding it. You're actually feeding it the energy it needs in order for it to survive and control you. That's where the hold that it will keep on you. So emotional dumping is dangerous. Once you start letting the mind, it will vomit emotional dumping all over anyone that will listen. Okay? It looks for it. And so here's what I want to tell you. You know, God has taught us that there is power in the tongue. What we speak matters. And when we speak, pay attention, because one of the best advice God ever gave me was don't speak. I'm still learning this one. Like, I learned this a few years ago from God. And when I was doing a lot of this behavior, emotional dumping, to give power really to it in order for it to survive and keep control over me. That was the big lesson in this, the teaching. The more I talked, the more powerful it got, the more separated I was from God. When you learn the energy, when it's like very fired up, you know, you're speaking from a place of anger, zip it up. Don't speak. Because you are actually rolling the red carpet out for it to become more powerful and more deeply rooted within your mind, okay? And when the mind becomes deeply rooted, this is when you can have full-blown mind operation, okay? That's what it wants. So now, this leads me to how we must understand the process to learn this, how the unconscious operates from within and to keep hold and power over us. It requires God. Okay, it requires God, it requires Creator to come and help us. And so maybe you're like, well, how do you do that? How do you even get started, right? Well, this is why I, in my work and in my life, and anyone that knows me, I will always go back to the basics, and this is prayer, okay? Prayer is when you start to bring God in, right? Your heart softens, the spirit opens. The mind doesn't want that, but we are spirits first, and God has given us this beautiful gift to pray and communicate with Him, bring Him into our life. God will teach you how to navigate this, but this all starts by connecting with your Creator. And you're going to do that by praying. You want to pray, you guys, and create this everyday connection with God. And you can learn through God. He will help navigate this process with you. and you'll face things in your life. You're going to face what I'm describing now. But the difference is that your life is going to happen. The stimulation is in the life. That's the stimulant. Okay. And the lesson is also in your life. It's coming. And so God will help you to face it. You'll go back, face it, you'll see it, and you'll learn it and you'll know it with Him. This is the self-awareness component with God. You can't learn or do any of this process without Him. And He'll teach it to you, okay? And help you learn how to navigate what I'm talking about. And then comes the test. You will be tested now. Because see, this is where we get a choice. And now I want to talk about the two operating systems that God put in us. We are not just human with a mind and, we come here to the earth to live and get a job, have a career, go to school, get married, have kids, buy a home. Like, if you fall for all of that, you missed it. You missed it a long time ago. And remember in my last video, I talk about evolution. We are here to spiritually evolve, okay, as humans, spiritually though. And when you understand this, you have to also get that we have two operating systems. And yes, did God create His creation with mind? Yes, but we are spirits first, okay? And because we are spirits first, we also have the ability to operate through spirit. And one of the most important traits to know about spirit is that the spirit is willing. The spirit is willing, okay? It is willing, and you will learn the system to operate through spirit with God in the heart. That's our first operating system. Our second is through the mind. Now, here's where it's interesting, because we are meant to operate through spirit with God in the heart where we are willing, right? However, the human experience runs on the default first. You have to get into enough suffering sometimes, or discomfort, or begin to get curious. There's a lot of ways this can show up in you, where you're running your life through the mind, which will lead you to the suffering. Eventually, it all goes to one place, which is where you're separated from God. You live in separation energy. Most people, this is the default. So you don't have to do anything actually to function from this place. This is built-in system. There you go. Doesn't require any work even. Literally. The spirit requires surrender. Okay, you have to surrender and open yourself up to even bringing God and God's will for you to your life, where you are willing. There's willingness through the spirit. And so, this leads me to my next episode, which I want to get into how you lead life through spirit, okay, with God in your heart. And I want to talk about what that means, learning how spirit, how the heart, this is all going to one place, which I told you guys. This is about living in truth. And so that is the ultimate destination, if you will, with God, but it's ongoing. There's no end to living in truth, okay? You go with God in truth, and it's ongoing. It's a forever journey. But we can learn what is spirit like, right? What does it mean to operate from a place of spirit, from heart, with God? And so know this, you have two operating systems. The mind is the default. It actually doesn't even require any work. It is built-in little system for you, but it will lead you to a place of suffering and being separated from God. And we also have our operating system through spirit. And that this requires ongoing work. There is no real destination. It's with God in the truth, but that's ongoing, and that's what you will find out. You will constantly be looking at yourself with God in self-awareness, okay? Living in truth, taking responsibility, accountability, apologizing. These are all willing, okay? Listening, communicating. It wants all of these things, and we're going to get into that. So learn yourself, you guys. Learn how the unconscious operates within you, because life is happening. The next stimulation in your life, circumstance, it's coming. We know this. And, pray on it and ask God to help you if this is something that interests you, to learn how the unconscious operates in you. But it starts in prayer and surrender and bringing God into it. Okay, bringing God into your heart. And that's a whole episode within itself, actually. So we should probably visit that as well. But I do thank you. I hope this helps for you guys to learn a little bit more about the default of the mind. It's very serious when you run on autopilot. Okay, so pay attention. And I thank you all for listening, and I can't wait for our next episode. And I also want to remind you guys to please like and subscribe to my channel. I love all of your support. It means everything to me. So thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you soon.